This episode of the Paddy Wagon is brought to you by Dan's Propane. Experience the difference that a reliable and trustworthy company can provide. Call Dan today at 308-530-0211 or visit danspropane.com to schedule your propane delivery. Hey everybody, pull up a seat. I have just topped off my glass. Why don't you grab your favorite beverage and join me? This is the Paddy Wagon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paddy Wagon. We are joined by Pythian Priestess, an occult educator and tarot reader. A lot of words, a lot of things going on there. Now, I have told you that I am new to this world. Think a lot of us may be, right? It's a little different for a lot of people, which I think is, you look around the world, there's a lot of things that are different. And I think one of the things we can do is be respectful of people and always use opportunities to make friends and learn a little bit about everyone. So that is why we're here today. We're going to get rid of maybe any preconceived notions that people have about beliefs and what it is that you do. So welcome to the show. Please feel free to fill us in and let me know if I missed anything.
Thank you so much, Mike. I'm very excited to be here. And hello to all of our listeners. My mundane name is Ashley Ryan, and I go by the online handle Pythian Priestess. And we'll get into what that means later. But I am an initiated priestess. We don't have a lot of those in our Western culture. And what that essentially means is that I was initiated under the goddess Isis, or the Egyptian goddess that you may have seen in some movies with the wings. And I'm very excited to talk to you all today.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be fun. So I was excited because I've already cheated. I've kind of asked you what you were drinking, and I just want to say this because it sounds good. Now, you're not joining us with this. I will start with, what are you drinking today?
So I'm drinking water with added minerals because one thing about my body is I deplete minerals faster than other people. So I am always putting trace minerals in my beverages.
We went on vacation recently and we accidentally bought distilled water. And you can drink it. It's fine. And I was like, well, you know what? What are we going to do? We're not going to waste it. We'll drink it. And like a day of this big jug of water in the fridge, we all felt dehydrated. We were like, there's nothing in this water. Like, we just had to go buy more. We started adding like packets to it and stuff like that. Salt even, just to get something inside the water. It's something you don't really think about. So magnesium water is good. Her favorite drink, which I thought she was going to join us with, sounds amazing. A lavender lemonade.
Yeah. So I did not have time to make it. I ended up working 2 shifts at the occult store this week.
Okay.
But the way that I usually make it is I squeeze the fresh lemons and you make a simple syrup with it. So you would take a simple syrup, that's what it's called. And
do you do 1-to-1 ratio on yours, or do you buy it? Okay. Gotcha.
I try to make it myself. But sometimes the store stuff, it does taste better because there's additives in it, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'll make it with the water and the sugar to make the syrup. And then you add the lavender to simmer with it. And then as it's simmering, you would then squeeze the lemons and add it to the water. And then I always like to put intention. So lavender is a very cleansing herb. It's there to pull any kind of negative energies, push out with the element of air to reset you. And I usually drink it after work, but I was a little bit pressed for time today.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds amazing. I love the smell of lavender. Doesn't matter if it's a drink, the soaps, like whatever it is, it's just and my wife would just love the statement you made about it being cleansing and all of that, because I know that she's into that too. And I hear about that a lot. So that's fantastic. I'm drinking a little something myself. Literally, I am drinking Lagunitas, little something ale. So I said, you know what, I'm going to crack a really bad dad joke there. So cheers to you. Thank you so much for joining me with something, and I appreciate that. So, all right. So my first question, and I will go on the record, this is seriously new to me. I have ideas of what it is you do. I generally don't walk through life looking at people thinking anything negative, anything weird. I think we're all a little weird. We're all a little normal. That's how I am. But I am ignorant to a lot about what you do. So let's start simple. My first question that I thought of was, like, what does occult actually mean? Because I think if you look at the word, CULT's in there, cult, negative, oh my goodness, must be bad, negative. Like, what does that word actually mean?
Totally. I totally see why you have that like negative mind frame for that. So the word occult. So there's an OCCULT, which comes from the Latin word occultus, meaning hidden or secret. And there's certain knowledge that is not, well, it hasn't been for centuries, but it is now in 2025, public information. And this occult knowledge ranges across the world, across cultures. And it's usually known by another word, which is esoteric.
Okay.
And what that means is I'm dealing with the internal structures of reality, my internal spiritual life and presence. So, someone who is an occultist practices the occult sciences.
Okay.
And these sciences were created mostly by the Renaissance. And this is forms of crystal ball scrying. This looks like using the tarot cards. And that's where this, in our modern day, has where you get your ideas from. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a history lesson, but it does go much, much farther back, all the way into ancient Mesopotamia. But for the purposes of the show, it means hidden knowledges focusing on occult sciences, which is divination.
Okay. So I've had somebody on a recent show. We had a mind reader, and he was spectacular. It was just amazing. His name was Joe Diamond, and it was funny as we were talking. I knew I had you coming up as a guest, and a lot of the kind of the buzzwords and the things that I knew I would hear with you, he was saying, and a lot of the things that he did, the magic and the reading. But what was interesting, and I know this is a thing because you hear it, a lot of people have similar stories regardless, but so he was raised in with a certain religious upbringing. And he would say, like, I had to kind of sneak away, and I'd go to the library and I would read the books. I would never bring them home because, but I would read them when I was there. Okay. My thing, and I know, and this is not a knock on organized religion, but it's like the thought that I've always had being raised Catholic is like, well, this is the way it is. Okay. And anything outside of this it's just, you can't read it. It must be bad. So I've never heard anything negative, but why is there's just that negative feeling? Do you get what I mean? Like you had to kind of run and hide and go to a certain store to find books like this and talk with certain people and kind of whisper. And so like, why is that? Because I'm telling you, for the folks that are not looking at the episode, for the folks that will not see the clips, this girl has a smile that will light up a room. She was friendly. We chatted before. She's kind. There's nothing goofy going on here, right? So, but why are we left with, or should I say some of us are left with just these negative things that we think about what you do and who you are?
So I think there are several reasons why people look at occultism and are afraid of it, mostly because there are a lot of stories and mythologies that focus around demonology.
Okay.
And that is a real thing. It does exist. And we have been given horror movies about this. And even before the horror movies, there were plays, the Faustian bargain. I sell my soul to the devil and it's a trick. So that is in our zeitgeist. That is something that we're all around. In the Bible, you'll see things like you will not practice sorcery. And then we could get into some like nitty gritty details about like the difference between magic and sorcery, blah, blah, blah. But you were reinforced the entire time that you shouldn't look for power of your own, that you should only be focusing on God, which I think is valid for a lot of people because this is dangerous. This is dangerous stuff. I think that there's a big danger with witchcraft and occultism becoming popular and in the mainstream because there is a power that some people are not ready to yield yet, and it can get them hurt.
You know what? You could relate that to a lot of things. You drive down the road and you're like, I don't know if this person should be wielding that vehicle. I'm with you 100%. Seriously, that's just one. That's just a car. There are people who I don't think should leave their houses or walk down the street. You feel like they're going to hurt themselves or hurt other people.
Yes, there's a lot of things in our society that are dangerous. And that is why this knowledge, occultism, has been secret for so long. And now the genie's out of the bottle. We have the internet. Things have been posted and ancient manuscripts translated. And a lot of people are curious about it. And it's been a passion of mine since I was a teenager.
Okay, excellent. So what drew you into this? Like you originally heard something, you saw a movie, like that's kind of like what got it started for you?
The first time that I stepped into the realm of the occult was at a Renaissance fair when I was 14 years old.
Oh, my favorite. I love them. Yeah, get a big old turkey haunch.
I absolutely love the turkey legs. They're so yummy. And they don't taste as good if you do them at home.
I know.
So I wanted to get a palm reading. And the woman who I met, she was an older woman. And she said, you will get some of the answers you're looking for with a palm reading, but I recommend you try tarot. I was like, I don't know what tarot is. Whatever, lady. But I agreed to it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to sneeze.
No, go right ahead. That was a good one. We're leaving that in, folks. That is not being edited. That's a solid sneeze. I like that one.
Thank you. So she pulled the cards out. And I was immediately drawn in. I was so enamored by these cards. I was like, these are so important. I don't know why, but I feel like I've seen these images before. And one thing about tarot, particularly the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, they were painted with a certain knowledge and intention. So all the colors, all the stature of the card, the movement within the card was intentional.
Okay.
And I was picking up on that. So I got my reading. It was about a boy. Of course it was.
And of course.
I told my mom in the car because I was so excited. I was like, wow, I learned about this thing and it's so cool and I love it. And my mom's like, that's a sin. I was like,
I knew we'd hear that word at least once in this question right here. Isn't that funny? What's the sin? What was the sin?
Fortune telling.
Fortune telling. Okay, gotcha.
Tarot is not fortune telling in its truest form. They are used as self-reflective tools. It's like a mirror. And there are ways to enchant the cards to have oracle properties and see into the future to a certain extent. But those are always subject to change because you have free will. So even if I read a tarot for you and there are certain things that are on a track and you decide to make a crazy move. Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm packing up and I'm moving to Ireland. That's
funny how we use that as a reference for the Paddy Wagon. Okay.
Yeah.
She is reading my mind right now, folks.
I have Irish in me too. So
there you go. Nice.
So it's not so much fortune telling a lot of the time. It's a mirror of reflection.
Okay.
But in certain cases, if you put the cards with and pray over them and put intention into them, they can be used for divination into the future.
Okay. Excellent. Very interesting. So, let's go to my original point about ignorance, lack of knowledge on a subject matter. So you see tarot readings at fairs. There's places you go, come in, we'll read your mind. And like my first thing was like, there's got to be some sort of research. First off, I think one of the problems that we have is there's hacks with everything. There's hacks with everything. Okay. So let's start with that. But assuming that somebody is not a hack, okay, it's a deck of cards. Now, what confuses me is and I don't know any of the names, but I know this card is this card is that. And there's only, how many cards are in a tarot deck?
78.
Okay, so there's 78 cards. Are they all different?
Yes.
Okay, so every card's different. You don't have like 4 jacks or something like that, right?
No, but there are suits. So let me break that down. So the tarot deck is actually the same outline as a traditional card deck. You're right on point there.
Okay.
So before tarot was invented, you could read the future with traditional playing cards. So there are 4 queens.
Okay.
And they are the elements. There's the Queen of Fire, which is the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Water, who is the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Air, who is the Queen of Swords, and then the Queen of Earth, which is the Queen of Pentacles.
Okay.
The same thing with the kings, and they're focused on the elements. And then you have numbers 1 through 10. So they all focus on those 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water.
Okay.
And then you see that this tarot is telling a story. And it's the story of life. It's your life. So every card I could pick up, for example, I don't have my deck with me, but I have my book. So I'm going to pull out a random.
Okay.
Let's do this one. Oh, the devil. How scary. Okay.
That's actually a really cool drawing.
It is. It's a beautiful drawing. And the first thing we see is that there's this scary devil guy. He's got a reversed pentacle at the top of his head. And we see that he's got 2 people chained to him in his little black box there. And they've got chains around their necks. So this is the story of addiction. This is a story of temptation. The devil is testing you. The other thing to know about him is he's a liar. And so here's some occult secrets for you. Over here in his palm, there's a symbol here. It's very hard to see in this rendition of the drawing.
I can tell there's something there.
Yes. And so that is the symbol for the planet Saturn.
Okay.
And Saturn is the planet of Earth, and it represents our material world, manifestation. So now how interesting that planet, which is the heaviest, the densest, is on the upper hand, showing going higher. And that's the lie. The devil is a low point. So if we know that that's a low point, we can see how we chain ourselves to certain patterns in our life. This could look like alcohol addiction. This could look like serial cheating on your partner. It could look like being obsessed with sugar. And it's anything that puts you into a negative state. Okay. So now in this card, we see that we know what we need to do. We need to take these chains that are around our necks. But can you tell me, Mike, are those chains tight or are they loose?
They look pretty loose.
Yeah, you think they could take them off?
I do.
Yes. And so that is the story behind this particular card, is that we are chained, but we're not actually stuck. And so
the illusion of being stuck.
Exactly. And that's what that lie represents. He says that's all there is. This is it. And we know that's not true. So you would then go into the next card, which is another scary card. And then this is
was this also randomly picked, or was that the next page?
It's the next page.
Okay, gotcha.
The scary cards are actually all together for a reason. But so we see this is step 1, and then this becomes step 2. And then after that, we get another card, and we see this is a continual story. So when I pull cards and I see that there's a certain number, a certain story being told, that's the part of your life you're experiencing right now.
Okay. And so we are going to do a tarot reading. You're going to sit down and do you shuffle the cards? Is there a certain way you shuffle?
Yes, there is a specific way I shuffle, and I do need to go grab my cards because they're not at my desk. So 1 second.
Thank you for that. I thank you so much. I wasn't going to ask you to grab the cards, but I was just saying I'm very interested. And can I say something real quick while you're getting your cards? You literally, so you opened up to a random page, and that page happened to be the devil. And I would like to reference something that I think is very important, which is why we're talking, and we talk about ignorance and not understanding. Again, there are people out there who believe this stuff is evil, but you literally describe the devil the way a person that is religious would describe the devil. Temptation and addiction and evil. And you did not talk about the devil in a positive light. You said, this is a problem here. And this is, so I think it's very interesting how you just talking. I'm like, if anyone just listens to that statement right there, you weren't like, well, this is the big guy here. This is the fun card. You're like, this isn't good. This isn't good. So I just wanted to call that out because I think that's very important for people who are learning a little bit like I am. So thank you. I think that was very interesting that happened to be the most random thing you got in that book, which is also, I think it was supposed to happen.
I think it was supposed to happen too. Yeah, we could definitely talk about like the demon side of it. Now there's the LHP society in general, or the left-hand path people. You know, everyone is making their own way, and there's not a lot of dogma or say, but tarot has a very specific meaning, and that comes from the people who, this particular deck that I'm opening up right now, which I put my cards in a knot. Oh no, they are not accessible. Oh no. What happened?
That's funny.
I'll just grab a different deck.
Now, are all the decks the same, and it's just different artwork, or do they mean different things when you have a different deck?
No, they all mean the same thing. That's a great question. Oh, hold on a second. We're having a technical difficulty.
Always. It's the Paddy Wagon. This is what we do here.
All right. I see what needs to be done. I will fix this. I'm so sorry.
Nope. Please take your time.
Okay, there we go. All fixed. Okay. So this deck is not the same, but the structure is exactly the same. So if you know the structure behind the deck and how it's built, so that's numerology, for example, and you know the different suits, I can read any deck.
Okay. Gotcha. My wife's a big number person.
Numbers
Huge number person. She'll tell me about this and 4s and 3s, and your birthday's a 1 and a 9, and it's a 7, and then it's like she's into all that, and she's like, these are all good things. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but the fact that you said it's positive, we're going to ride that out because I like it.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Nice.
So I'm going to pull my screen down for the people who can see it, and I will show you how I shuffle. So I take the cards, I break them in half. I then knock 3 times. I am clearing out any energies that are not meant for this reading. This is wood. This is usually where I do my tarot readings, and that's important.
Okay.
So I shuffle 4 times, and then I pray over the cards. So silently, I would say something like, I call upon the goddess Isis, Queen, goddess of 10,000 names. I ask you to purify and consecrate these sacred cards, that they may be pure and accurate doorways into our world. And then I would divide the cards into 4. And can you guess why we're doing the number 4?
Because of 4 suits.
Yes, right.
And that was a random. Now, is that random? That obviously wasn't a perfect 4x4, just close enough. Okay.
It sometimes when I divide them like that, it is random. Like I just go by feeling, just like how
Okay.
many I want. Now I will explain how the deck works here. So for you, Mike, the first card here, this represents your conscious mind.
Okay.
The bottom of the deck represents your unconscious mind.
Okay.
If we cut the deck in half, this is like the middle mind. Oh, okay.
That's a good O. So like that. She's like, all right, okay, we're good.
Yeah. So the first card, which is your conscious mind, this is the Knight of Wands. So you have a lot of energy. You're very creative. And because you're on a horse, you are moving. So you have a very fast energy. And we also see this card, sometimes he can be playful. It's like a trickster energy at times, which is probably something that you relate to.
You see me laughing, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I'm laughing with all the people that are listening to this going, wow, she pulled the right card on that one. Okay. All right. We're off to a good start.
So your unconscious mind, these are your fears. And the Four of Pentacles, we call him, he's got a scarcity mindset. He's maybe a little bit of, there's some fear here that I am not creating as much as I need to. So you do have some money, but we see here isn't enough. He's weighing, he's exploring. So this card is calling you to open your heart up to a more abundance, into the belief that you can grow. And remembering that our mindset is creating the reality. So if we are constantly in a place of feeling like the feeling is the key here, Mike.
Okay.
If I feel like I'm lacking, that's where we continue that cycle. So finding things that you're grateful for every day, running water, having a loving wife, having electricity, all of those things will help create that feeling of prosperity and abundance so more money can come to you.
Okay.
Now in your middle mind, you have a major arcana. So you'll see here, she has a title and a number.
Okay.
He only has a title, so we know he's not as important. So these are major moments in your life. And we see the Star, a very spiritual card. In fact, we have an angel here. And in this deck, traditionally, this is the angel Raphael. He's the archangel of air. And he represents, there's the goddess energy as well. So in the Rider-Waite deck, says the goddess is pouring water into the earth and into the water again. So nurturing your conscious mind and your unconscious mind, nurturing your spiritual life and your physical life. This is what is being asked of you. And we see here that your mind is what's stopping you from achieving that. So we have to find balance between logic and intuition. And what that means is understanding that they actually work together. They're not enemies. So while logic can do beautiful mathematics and geometry and law, the intuitive side is just as valuable. And that is actually through intuition, how you can connect with angels and with spirits.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is what we just see what's going on in your mind and body right now.
Very interesting. Can I make a comment?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So the One of Pentacles, right?
Yes.
I constantly, I'm just constantly thinking about money. And I know that I'm in a good spot, but I constantly think about it all the time. It's my wife won't ask me certain questions because she's like, it's like it's like always there, and I don't know why it's always there. You know,
because your unconscious mind, there's some point in your life where it was impressed upon your unconscious that there's not enough, and I need to always be thinking about there not being enough and making sure there is. So you're stuck in this loop.
Okay. That's interesting. Very interesting. I'm very glad you didn't pull the devil, by the way.
Me too. We already talked about that one. I just say the same thing.
That's good. So, okay. So you drew 4 cards, right? Was that 4? Okay.
Yes.
Because you pulled up a couple more. So that's it. That's how that works.
Yeah. And so
Or,
then
okay.
you would be able to make different spreads. So here's some just sample spreads so
Okay.
people can see. The one a lot of people are familiar with is the past, present, future.
Okay.
So that's a very common one. And then there's another spread that people do. It's called the Celtic Cross.
Okay.
So that's a total of 8 cards, I believe. So, and each one of these means something. So this card represents you. This card represents the energy that's affecting you. The top card represents the past coming from heaven. The bottom card is the future coming from heaven. Then here, horizontally, we see the past on earth, and then we see over here the future on earth. Okay. This card, now we have 4 more, and this is future stuff. So this shows me the energy that's in the immediate future, the energy that you need to progress in a positive way, the energy that is necessary. So like the necessary to make the best outcome, and then the outcome you're currently at.
Okay.
And so there's thousands of these, right?
I've seen the cross one before. Like that's, I think, is that like a popular one that you see?
Yeah, it's one that's in all the books.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, once you started doing that, I was like, that's the one I know. And then I've actually heard of the past, the present, and the future. Yeah. So I've never seen it laid out, but very interesting. Okay. So, all right, I already know a little more than I thought I did. So that's good. Okay. Yes. Love it. Thank you so much for showing me that. And it is weirdly accurate. Like that was really interesting. And I knew, I was like, she's not going to pull the devil. It's like, you got some explaining to do, sir. Oh, very cool. So is that process, okay? So I guess kind of leads into one of, you can predict the future.
To an extent.
To an extent. But you're more reflecting on the present and maybe how you got there, right? How we got to where we're at.
Yes. When I have clients who come talk to me, a lot of the times they want to talk about the future. And what I try to do is give them action-oriented steps to help them achieve the future that they want, whether that's through spell work, whether that's through mantras or meditation. Because what I'm seeing here is in their present, what's going on? Why are you not at the place that you want to be? Why haven't you gotten a job? Why is that person not texting you back? And then the goddess, through her blessings, shows me what's happening. And then with my human knowledge, I am not a licensed mental health professional, but I am an empathetic person who does a lot of work with people. And so I've educated myself on how to help retrain my thoughts. How do I start creating a better self-image? And so I give people the first steps to get to that place. But sometimes it does require therapy, and that's something I don't provide.
Okay. Yeah. And I like how you said that empathy is very important. I'm not a therapist, never claimed to be, but I do find a lot of the times friends will talk with me, and then you will hear things like, I feel better now. Now, is it they feel better talking? Is it they feel better talking to me? Or is it a combination? And it's okay, whatever it is, but I'm a part of that sometimes. And then when I talk with my wife, we all have things we go through, every human being on earth. And I hear sometimes that you listening, or you said the right thing in that moment. That is what I needed to hear. And those are all practical things that we can do. We can all do that. And I try to tell my kids, like, hold doors for people, say thank you, say please, be kind. We always talk about kindness, loving and kindness in our home. And if you have those things, you can really do whatever. So yet again, I'm not really seeing the negative things with what you're talking about, which again, I knew I wouldn't. So that's interesting. And so your reading, there's obviously a structure to it, right? There's a structure to the cards, and you're interpreting what you see. Is it more intuitive? Does the structure, right? Because everyone's different. If somebody else was sitting down and those cards drew in that order or something like that, like would it have meant the same thing? Like
It'd be
when
very
you
similar.
could be
Yes.
similar. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So the cards have like the meanings don't change. Now they change once in a while in relation to each other. Like the sun card is the happiest card, and even when it's reversed or around bad cards, and there's no bad cards, but scary cards,
Okay.
sometimes it makes it better. So it would be very similar types of energy, and I would say that would be highly unusual for me to pull the exact same cards in the exact same order. But sometimes you do get repeat cards, and that's because the energy, either I'm not doing a good enough job explaining it to you, and the goddess is like, "Hey, explain this more,"
Okay.
or the intuition comes in randomly. It is I turn it on when I go into work. I say, all right, goddess, I open up my sacred space. I call and invoke the goddess into me. And there are things that I will just know that sometimes aren't in the cards. I'll say things like a couple of weeks ago, I was pulling some cards for someone who asked where their ex was. I said, oh, your ex is in jail. And they were like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't, but if you look him up right now, I guarantee you'll find his mugshot. And she did.
And he was in jail.
He was in jail.
You didn't know this person? It was just like, no, you can look him up.
No, I got some of the cards were sitting there. Was Justice reversed, and then the Six of Pentacles reversed, and then I just heard in my head jail, and I was like, he's in jail.
Wow. And you didn't throw a might. He might be in jail. You're like, this dude is behind bars as we speak.
Yeah.
You said that with some confidence.
Yeah, like you just hear it sometimes, and you're like, that's real. And it's happened multiple times where I've learned to trust it now. You know, sometimes they're not as fun. Like there are times where like the goddess will say something, or there are people's spirit guides talk to me, and usually it's something that they don't want to talk about, and they're like this, and it's not usually like, trigger warning for everyone. I hear things like sexual assault, rape, like stuff like this, and I'm like, oh God, okay, like this is something that your guides tell you that you need to work through. Like you need to look at this past because it's just building up pressure in your psyche, and that sucks. I've also heard things like cheating, like it just like usually it's just one or two words like that.
Okay. I like that you like your acknowledgement of not being like a mental health professional is like, listen, there's other answers out there and these things can work together in conjunction. I can do this, but like it may be good maybe to see somebody else or talk with somebody, right? Because you got to clear that energy out. Like, and I can feel I've everybody that listens to this knows I'm emotional. I've been emotional my whole life. I've never had a problem crying. The older I get, I can actually cry a lot easier. TV shows, I mean, my goodness, I feel like a commercial would even get me now and then. But I'm not blocked off to that, and I feel good afterwards. But I sometimes get the feeling where it's like I need to cry. There's something bound up in me, and it is, I think, probably best described as a negative energy, emotions, like something's trapped, and to get that out. And it's just like you just feel it in your gut. And whether you need to go for a run, go for a walk. I have a Jeep, so anytime I drive and the roof is not on, that's a good day. But yeah, I do feel that sometimes where it's like like I said, bound up is probably the best way. And I think probably everybody does. And I think the issue is how do you get rid of that? Because you hold on to it for years, and then now we're looking at people and you're going, what's wrong with this person? Well, what's wrong with the person is they're not letting the negativity go. they're keeping it in and just adding more shit on top of it. And now, excuse my language, they're a fucking disaster, right? Is that accurate?
Totally. You know, I have many healers and priestesses that I work with. We have our own network, of course, and somatic healing through breath work, through maybe even working with animals like horses, allow you to release that because it is emotional, and finding an outlet for it when it comes up is great, but ultimately getting to the core of why it exists there. And that could be done through what I have found most helpful, which is hypnotherapy. I know that I am an intellectualizer. And so I specifically 6 years ago went out to find someone who would be able to help me bypass my conscious mind and get directly into the unconscious and do the work. I think I have the most respect for mental health workers because I have a long-term boyfriend who is a psychoanalyst. And we both see that magic and the psyche or psychology work together, and we call it psycho-spiritual. Like, and you having that energetic block does create difficulties in your life, sometimes through health difficulties. Gabor Mate, a very popular writer right now, writes about how our emotions, when we suppress them, we create illness within the body. So the answer to your question is, I recommend somatic breath work or somatic healing or somatic retreats where you can do that release. Breath work at home is a fantastic use. I have a podcast called Pause with Pythian, which is meditations and breath work. That's a free resource for you. And then hypnotic therapy, or just if you're not interested in that, just regular therapy. All of those will help you process
Anything
it.
will, yeah. And again, I think that's the key word is right, process. And we all process things differently. What works for you may not work for me. You know, when I was younger, like, you know, I don't know, 19, 20, whatever, you have that breakup and it's a bad one and it's the end of the world. Oh my goodness. Like I'll never, you know, love somebody again. It's all that. And I remember watching a movie that was a comedy and it wasn't supposed to not fix me, but it wasn't supposed to it gave me a different outlook on things. And the movie was Swingers, which do you know what Swingers is?
I haven't seen it, but I have a movie like that too.
Yeah.
It's,
And
go ahead.
it was just, it's like a guy that can't get over this girl. And then
Mm.
he just wakes up one day and he's okay. And his friends are always trying to cheer him up. And it's just this, your glass is always half empty, man. You're living in LA. It's always sunny. You know, it's just, there was this whole movie that led to this and a lot of awkwardness. And, you know, you felt bad for the guy and then he just popped out of it. And it was like, I needed to see that because it was what made sense to me. If I told somebody that movie was helpful to me, they'd be like, how? Like, it's a frigging comedy. Like it's a cheesy late 90s comedy. And I said, yeah, but it hit something inside of me that worked.
Yeah, it's a story. Humans need storytelling. We've had storytelling for thousands of years, and it is healing. It allows us to play out energies within ourselves that maybe we can't express. Maybe that expression of this 90s comedy was you were able to give voice to, as well as see a mirror reflection of your own struggle. That's why we have the epics. That's why we have these stories. Even if it seems silly, it's a reflection of humans.
Yeah. And I think what it was you could feel the depression in the movie. You could feel the negative. You could feel the hurt. Like it really was a great job acting. But if you have experienced that in your life, that you could see that in him and you could relate. And I think that's what it is about, just kind of relating to it. Where, you know, and now looking back, it's like, you know, what were you upset about? Well, when you're 19 or 20, you only know what you know. You only have the experiences you know. I can't look ahead and go, listen, 20 years from now, you're going to forget about this. You have to live those 20 years to go, that was all part of the plan. That was supposed to happen. Right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Oh, man. So, you know, and I think like we think things in movies. Like, I think movies do a bad job of portraying what you do. I do. I think it's weird. I think they position it the same way I said, where it's like this negative, or it's like, oh, those weird people do that.
Oh,
And
well, I have an
I don't get
answer.
any of that from you. Go, yeah, let's go.
So my master's of fine arts degree is in writing and producing TV.
Okay.
And what we are taught is that every scene should have conflict. So people are consistently making stupid choices or poor choices to add to tension, and that's what keeps you interested. Unfortunately, no, Hollywood and television is not a good role model for how to live life.
No,
Very bad one.
apparently that's not the case. And you just kind of, you answered my question, which I love it. You do predict the future. I was gonna say, like, what do you say to those people? And I think that's the right answer. Like, stop looking for answers in places that you shouldn't be getting answers from, right? It's like when you know, I mentioned a movie, it made me feel good because it was a relatable scene, but it's like, especially with the internet now, you can learn a lot. You really learn a lot if you look in the right places. But if you look in the wrong places, you think you learn a lot and you've actually made yourself dumber, right? It's very hard to verify information, but I do think a lot of common sense would help with where we find this stuff at and what we expose ourselves to. We're very closed off as human beings, I think, to any other ideas. I think, two political parties, it's got to be this or that. There's no in between. You can't think, you can't grab a section of thoughts from here and a section of thoughts from there and blend them, or you're weird if you see both sides of the argument, right? That's not supposed to happen. Why are we like that? It's like we're like pack animals and you got to be one of two packs.
Well, Americans in general, we have been acculturated to extremism. It's very much Pepsi or Coke, red or blue, right? That is unfortunately how our society has been structured for, in my opinion, for profit. You make people who are sad and depressed, you make a lot of money off of them. But going into like the spiritual side of things, I think that black and white thinking is what a lot of Americans were ushered into. So religion isn't in a vacuum. Religion changes. And now you're like, Ashley, how do you know that? I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy and theology. And so I studied religion pretty intensively. And what I learned was that religions change and morph over time, depending on the needs, the location, and the geographics, how much food is there. All kinds of stuff depicts how people worship and what they say. Christianity, when it came over to America, give or take 200 years ago, there were a lot of fractions of Christianity, Puritanism, for example, or Calvinism. And these different offshoots of Christianity created the values that a lot of extreme Christians have today, which is, I hate poor people because if you were poor, it's because you sinned. And if you're wealthy, it's because God blessed you. That's a direct belief that comes from Calvinism and prosperity gospel. So God hates poor people, apparently. And if you look in America, we all still hold that idea. A lot of us do. Then you see the dichotomy between like black and white, good versus evil. That was used as a method of control for a very long time. The truth is, when you go past religion at its surface, especially when you get into stuff like I'm into, there are shades of gray. Life is a spectrum of every color imaginable. And what I like to tell people is that God created everything. You guys see it in the Bible, it's in the Quran. All the Abrahamic religions say the same thing. God created everything. So, by that logic, God must also have created evil. And that is when people are like, no, that's not what happened. Satan rebelled. And I say, yeah, but none of that's in your Bible, because that was actually created about 400 years later by a man named Thomas Aquinas, who created the story of Lucifer falling from heaven and becoming the devil, which is actually just a recreation of the Prometheus story from ancient Greece. But it's not in
Really?
your Bible. Yes.
That's interesting. Because that was always the story I heard. I was a fallen angel.
Right. But it's not in the Bible. But people treat it as canon when it's not, because they don't actually read the Bible.
I will tell you that. I know some really, really good Christians. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I believe
start
they
with that.
exist. Yeah.
And oh boy, just true. And you could take religion out of them, and they would just still be just spectacular human beings.
Yeah.
I won't name any names, but if they listen, they know who they are. I think the world of these people, and they every day when they wake up, they give off a positive energy.
That's wonderful.
One of them talks in their own backswing in golf. That'll give a little clue. But there's not a bad bone. There's not a bad aura. There's never anything negative. The glass is always half full, and they go to church every Sunday, and that fuels their fire. And that's the type of stuff I love. And they don't look at any of that. They don't look down on anyone. But then there's the people like we're talking about, where I hear people spout religious nonsense. And I say that because the way they say it is so negative. And I'm like, do you realize what you're saying? It hurts. It hurts to see the judgment. There's so much love removed from a lot of the comments. And it's like, I don't understand that. And then see, my thing was always, I was questioned, right? Raised Catholic. And it was like, well, yeah, man, this is how it was. And I'm like, well, God gave me this brain, and human beings are inquisitive by nature, and we're designed to solve problems. We're designed to ask questions. But when I ask questions, I'm told, no. Back here in this lane. Don't leave this lane. You got to stay here. But yeah, it kind of feels good to like look outside of that and kind of see what's over there. But no, don't get back in. Can't do that. And we're not wired that way. But then I ask some, pretty, I think, direct questions. I mean, but you don't get the answer, but you almost ask it to be a jerk. You almost ask it to prove, right? Very sad story recently in the news with those floods in Texas. Like 27 little girls at a Christian camp got flooded away. Like, I have kids. Like, that hurts. It really hurts. But then if you look, you go, well, why would that happen to that type of camp? And you don't have answers. And I think that it's always been difficult to not have answers. And I don't know what we latch on to, or again, we're all just wired a little differently. But I love the gray areas. My brain is a big gray area. And I think the majority of people truly are gray. Like, you talk with a lot of people. Do you think, I think the news and the media and TV portray us as black, white, good, bad, just like you said, rich, poor. But I don't believe the majority of us are like that. I think the overwhelming majority of people would help their neighbors, regardless of income, regardless of race, regardless of sexual preference. Like, I just think people are wired to help and love other people more than the negative. Do you find that to be true?
So Los Angeles is a very different kind of city.
Okay.
I will say that people in LA, I think that I have seen good in people where they will do certain things to help others. But I think that there is a desire for division that is being given to us through our media.
Right.
The inherent question of whether people are born good or born evil, it's tricky. I think that every single person on this planet is born with a divine spark inside of them, that they have an aspect of God or goddess inside of them. Then you have the personality, and you have so my boyfriend's a psychoanalyst. Children don't have a conscience until age 5. They are essentially like sociopaths existing, and they're learning.
Can confirm. Can definitely confirm.
And so, but does that make them evil? or bad. I don't think so. I think that just makes them innocent.
It's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I just, like I said, I think there's, like, I love what you do, even more so after talking to you, but I like the areas where it's like behind that door. You're not supposed to look behind that door, but like there you are. You're like, I'm going to check it out anyway. And it's like, that's just going to be my thing. But I think we should all look behind those doors. Like if we're curious about something, learn about something. It's just some of the best moments of my life have been from talking to different people and just shutting up. And I've told this story before. I don't know if I told it on this podcast. My sister dated a guy, and I didn't like him. I just didn't like him. And I would talk to him. He wouldn't talk back. He bothered me. And I said to my dad, I said, I don't like him. I talk to him. He doesn't talk back. My dad said, do you ever think you talk too much? He's like, I got an idea for you. Why don't you shut up and see if he has anything to say? And you know what I did? The next time I saw him, I shut up. I didn't say a word. Well, God damn it. One of my best friends after that. Like, he was just friendly and kind, and I hated that I was doing that the whole time and didn't even see it. He literally said, stop talking. You talk too much. You can't listen and talk at the same time. It's not possible. And it's very true. And it was just, again, I just opened up a little bit and he just came right in, and it's just such a great person, kind guy. And I was like, wow, like I was doing that and it had nothing to do with him. It was all me. And so you just have to look in different places sometimes, and you get answers where you don't know where they're at. You don't know. And again, it's that free will thing. It's like, sometimes it's just, life is just figuring things out, and we find things where we don't expect to find them.
Yes. And that's why curiosity is important. And sometimes even boredom is important, because that's what sparks curiosity, is when your brain isn't being entertained.
Well, with kids that will constantly tell you they're bored, it's kind of like, well, my wife will say, well, go figure it out. Go outside. Go play. Go do something. Go get dirty.
Go look at an anthill.
Yeah. Anything you could do. That's great. So now that we're best friends, right? And now we're going to move to something. I've got to come clean with something. Okay. I cheat sometimes on the podcast. All right. I use AI. Specifically, I know. Don't worry. You were like, where is he going with this?
Yeah.
Like, wow, he's like, really going to open up. But I use AI sometimes to generate questions or to try to think of fun topics. Okay. So I don't know a lot about what you did, as I've said. And so I was like, all right, well, let's have some fun. Right. So I said, well, I want to ask the right questions. I want to do it in a fun way and have some fun with the Pythian Priestess. And so I said, give me some questions. And I assure you that these AI tools that exist now, they are not funny. Okay. And truly will insult your guest. Okay. Where I'm going with this is when I said, give me some lighthearted, fun questions to ask, I would like to read you a couple. And I know we're changing gears pretty drastically. We are pivoting, but it got deep for a second. And I was like, you know what? Let's lighten it back up.
Cool.
Because these are some of the things that this tool, which I shall not name, recommended I ask you. Okay. Number 1. So, are you like a Hogwarts professor or a more freelance wizard?
Well, the answer is I'm a freelance wizard.
I was like, my wife was like, do not ask those questions. And I was like, I'm 100% asking these questions. Like, there's no doubt. Yeah. So that was serious. I was like, that's number 1, right? Really, I'm going to I don't expect her to stick around with these questions. And it was like, it outlined them for me, like in this order. And I'm like, this person would be gone after number 3 if I just spouted these off. Okay. Number 2, if I accidentally summon a demon, is there like an occult customer service line I can call? Yeah.
No, there's not.
There's not. Why did I know that was the answer? Now, how would you, let's start with these 2. You'd kind of be like, where are we going with this? Like, you're insulting me right off the bat. Let's see. Here's a good one. I did like this one. Is there an occult spell that can make my podcast go viral? And then it was ruined by, or at least make my mom listen to it.
Oh, I hope your mom already listens.
Oh, God, no.
Oh.
Oh, God, no. I don't think. No, I'm pretty certain she does not.
Okay.
And then how do you tell the difference between a serious magic ritual and just a weird camping trip? Yeah.
Well,
Does that even make sense?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's some things that usually happen that, at a weird camping trip, yeah, you might get naked from taking shrooms and dance under the moon.
Oh my God. Do you eat mushrooms?
I actually don't, but
Okay.
I'm on an SSRI, but I would like to one day.
Okay. I don't know what SSRI is. I won't pry, but
It's all good.
just the way you said that, I was like, oh, you eat mushrooms in the woods. I have eaten mushrooms in the woods, and I will just say I recommend it.
I know my community very well, and an occult ritual, a very serious one, would be very serious. There's no drugs involved. It would be there's a procedure behind it, just like you would go to mass,
Right.
and there's a very specific reason. If people are not chanting in some kind of language, whether it's English or Latin or Hebrew, I would say probably not super serious. But hey,
so people do chant.
Oh yes, that is a thing that happens.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's very powerful because of vibration. So I'm sure everything vibrates around us, and some things like crystals vibrate higher than others. But you have this beautiful thing called your voice, which you can attune to certain vibrations. And when you do that and you amplify them together, it creates a very intense energy that can be used in ritual.
I always thought those videos of people breaking glass with their voice were fake, and they are actually real. If you can match that tone on the crystal, which is pretty incredible. I don't think I get that high pitch, but I've seen it. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in this. We always in this house. It's like energy. It's all about energy, like we talk about. And there's just an energy, and I think everyone feels it. But I just think people are shut off to listening to that energy and letting your inside out, and just kind of pay attention to the vibes, I guess. Right. And then again, I just said vibes, vibrations. Right. It was
yes,
right. It was the right word. That's why I said it. So, so what's your weekly, your daily practice look like? Do you have one?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I wake up in the morning, and then I wake up the altar. I light some incense for the goddess. I have something. It's a musical instrument that's from ancient Egypt, a sistrum, and I shake it 3 times. It does not sound very nice, but alas, that is what they used. So I do that. I say good morning to her. I put the incense down, and then I rub some kind of ritual oil. Currently I'm using one called Unlock Your Power, which I do think is working, which is super cool. And then
does it have a smell to it?
Mm-hmm. It smells like grapefruit, and it has mica in it. And then the witch who makes them, she does like a special blessing over all of the oils that she makes. So I put that on my face. I put it on my elbows, my wrists, behind my ears. Then at some point during the day, I will do a banishing ritual.
Okay.
So I remove, especially before I do tarot or spell work or ritual work, I need to be cleansed. And that is because moving through this earth, there's just energies everywhere, and you're a sponge. You're going to constantly pick stuff up. So I'll purify myself. And then those are like my 2 main things that I do absolutely every day. And then 3 times a month, I do ritual. I do ritual with a public group. I do one with a private group. And then I do one online.
And what is the point of the ritual? Or are they different?
They all vary in reason. Okay. So sometimes it can be like releasing pain was one we did. Tomorrow I'm performing a prosperity ritual publicly at the Crooked Path. And then an online ritual that I did was to create a magical tool to work with the goddess that I work with my online coven.
Oh, very cool. So a couple questions that kind of just popped into my head that are going to seem weirdly timed, but I just figured like definitions. I asked you earlier, like, what is the definition? What did I ask? Occult. What was the
occult.
definition of cult? Okay. So you said the word witch. What is a witch? Because again, this is one I think everyone thinks negative. Or they do sometimes go good witch, bad witch, but what is a witch by definition?
Simply put, a witch is a person who is able to control the elements and move energy. That's it. If you want to put a moral judgment on it, that is because you don't want women to have power. Sorry. Oh, my light just went out.
I was going to say, I just saw that.
Whoa, that's weird.
It was real weird.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who use different terms, right? Like, so witch, occultist, like I use, because I specifically practice the occult sciences. I do practice witchcraft as well.
Okay.
But I mostly focus on practicing ceremonial magic. So you could call me a magician. That's what a lot of terms, and all these terms are gender neutral. Like, I know we think of witch as woman, but men can be witches too if they want.
And magic's another word. Like, what is the actual definition of magic? Because again, I think you think magic, you think magician, you think trick, you think fake. And I don't think that that's true.
Mm-hmm. So magic is the raising, the directing, and directional output of energy. So if I am through my chanting, for example, I'm raising a certain type of energy. I then use things like my fingers or a wand to point the energy in a direction, like a laser beam. And then I'm directing it to do something. Go forth and do such and such. Bring me X amount of money. And then you have to be really smart about this, because magic will always take the path of least resistance. So if I'm like, I need $400, I might end up in a car crash, and then I get $400 from my insurance company, but dang, that's not the money that I needed. So you always have caveats. Say things like, go forth, do such and such with no harm to none, no harm to me.
Okay.
And then you can reverse that. So for people who do works that I don't do these things, but I know about them and I have to know how they work so I can undo them for people.
Okay.
Baneful, or what you might call black magic. So energy that goes out and directly hurts somebody, you would sit and you would just think about this person nonstop for like 20 minutes to an hour, and then you would direct it to do something, and that could be all kinds of things. I don't think a lot of people actually do that. I think that more likely they're to sit with their phone or gossip with their friends and sit with a candle for 20 minutes.
That's true. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. You hear these words and you don't give it any thought. At least I don't, right? And this is your space, so you know all this stuff. But, again, magic, witch, occult, and it's like, there's always people that are weirded out by that stuff. But yeah, we all love a good magic trick, and we're fooled by it, and it's sorcery or whatever they say. But yeah, we keep watching. So it's like there's, that's good magic. It's good. I thought of something. You mentioned witch. I have always been, and we don't have to go down this path, but just I'm kind of an opinion thing.
Sure.
I don't know a lot about witchcraft, but we all have heard like the Salem witch trials. Mm-hmm. Now, what I know is that a lot of these women, or at least what I think I've heard, is that a lot of these women were, burned at the stake or whatever, and accused of being witches. And so do you, I guess my question before I ask it, like, do you know a lot about that time period?
I know some things. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I have some knowledge.
But I just always think, and I look back and I think, one, was it real witchcraft is like the question, or was it old white Puritans finding a reason to kill a woman or two that didn't align with certain values? Like, was someone having a bad day? Was someone, seriously, like I'm about to say this, like, was someone on their period and was flipping out and had a bad, I just always look back and I go, those women probably didn't do anything wrong. It was just like old school. Well, this is different. So I guess, they're possessed and we'll just, burn them. But what is there any truth that is like fact around that?
So factually, what I do know is as of like 2018, I believe, there was some scientific research done in the town which the Salem witch trials took place. Because it's not directly in Salem, Mass. It's a little bit outside of it.
Okay.
And that a lot of the homes had a specific kind of mold, a fungus that was actually hallucinogenic and was hurting people. So there's a great likelihood that people were going into hysteria because they were being poisoned by this mushroom or whatever it was, some kind of fungus. That is, I think, what logically happened. Now, I think we have to look at cultural perspective too. Like there was definitely some stuffy Puritan values. These women were probably practicing homeopathy, like there's probably some kind of nature healing, midwifery, any of that stuff would probably be viewed as witchcraft, even though technically that's like not really witchcraft in a negative way. It's healing, it's a medicine. So that is part of it. I don't know a lot about the individual women, but what I do believe from what I have read factually, there was some kind of weird fungus that was infecting people's brains and making them go crazy.
And the men got a pass. Like this dude's losing his mind over here running around naked around this tree, over and over again. But I think that woman's got something wrong with her. Okay, well, thank you for that. Because I didn't know that. But just randomly, like, think about a witch. Like, I think about that. And I'm like, what really happened? Because chances are they probably weren't witches. Chances are they were probably just falling outside of the guidelines of what was deemed acceptable. And the fact that they were women didn't probably help the situation. So,
no, the energy of the goddess has been repressed for a very long time in Western mysteries and in the Western religions. Goddess has not been given the respect she deserves.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What do you find most fulfilling about what you do?
I love getting to touch the divine. That's what I was really interested in when I was a child, because I grew up Roman Catholic too. And I remember at a very young age understanding that when the priest lifts up the wine and the wafer, that it turns into the body. And I knew, I'm like, that's magic. Like something magical is happening at that moment. And I wanted to touch God. Like that was my thing. But I was told, oh, you're a girl, you can't be a priest. And I was like, oh, well, I guess this isn't for me then. And so that's how I went on this journey. But being able to communicate with the divine, being able to do work for them, being a priestess is not being a princess. It's being a servant. I'm being her handmaiden. And I am so blessed to be able to do that for her. I don't think I have any grand mission on earth. I think I'm here to help role model and bring people into a better understanding of their spiritual path. And I am just so blessed that I can make a living doing this, and that I never imagined this for me in my wildest dreams.
You worked hard for it. You know what I mean? You've done a lot of this. So I think it's really interesting. And I also love the fact that you are educated in religion as a whole and have studied a lot of different things. And, I think when we think about certain things, Catholicism, Christianity, Buddhism, like all these different religions, and it's always yours is right, others are wrong. Well, what's wrong with any of them? They're all kind of truly saying the same things. It's almost like that big brother, right? Do good and good will happen. Treat people fair, right? And there's so much misinterpretation of what it is that's being said. Like, especially when you hear something negative and you're like, thou shall not do this. And you're like, oh, wow, like that's not at all what that means. That's not written in there. And of course you look and you're like, well, that was never said. But again, it's the outcast. It's what you do is like the one that's the outcast, but in reality, in learning from you, you're not different than anything else. You're just truly You're kind, and I think you're loving, and I think you enjoy what you do, and you do it to share your message and help other people, right? I'm not wrong with that. So
No, you're not. So what you're describing there is called an omnist, somebody who believes that all religions have a kernel of truth within them. And religions are systems. They are ways to live your life. And I have no problem with Christianity. I have no problem with Judaism. I also don't have a problem with Satanism. People can go do whatever they want and live according to their will. Now, do I think that there are opportunities for higher aspirations of the soul? Yeah. I think that if you want to go and you wanted to go beyond the basics of religion and get into a more spiritual, esoteric side of it, that's great. But I would never say that like my religion or anyone's religion is better than another. You are a human. Who are
right.
you to say what is better than something? Like, humans have the biggest egos on them.
Oh, don't we? Don't we? So true.
Like,
That's
yeah.
so true. I never understood the idea of disliking someone or disliking a culture. If you lived on an island somewhere and you never heard of Christianity, why should a Christian judge them? Or why should any religion judge anybody if they've never been exposed to something? There's no reason to judge anyway, but it's just kind of like, it was always like my little kid mind going, well, what's wrong with them? They seem okay. They're a different religion.
Yeah.
They were never bad people.
The proselytizing stuff, like you do see it in the Bible where Jesus is like, go out and spread my word. But it was really St. Paul who like shoved it down people's throats. And Jesus was mad chill. I'm like hella cool with Jesus.
I love that. Yeah. Jesus was mad chill should be the title of this. It's so good. It's the best. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, he hung out with prostitutes. He like never judged anybody for that. And I know that the Bible says that the only way to the Father is through me. People will come to their own son, their own understanding, like the son worship, right? SON versus SON. It's similar but different. Like, that's great. I'm glad that you have that belief, and I understand that if you want to invite someone to that, great. Invite them to mass, invite them to your whatever coven, but it should be their choice. It should never be forced upon someone.
And you said it. It's right. Spread the word. It doesn't say convert. It just says, hey, listen, this is who I am. This is who I follow. This is my guy here. He's mad chill.
So mad chill.
But it doesn't say you got to go out there and force feed. Right. So I think that's a very interesting, because sometimes you just meet people and you're like, I feel force fed, and nobody loves that feeling of being told. They like when suggestions are offered, or it's like, hey, have you considered? And we're all okay with that. But it was like, this is the only way, and this is my way. And it's just, again, human beings, I don't think are wired that way. I think we need to accept things for our own truth. It's that free will. When you start to challenge free will, where, you feel like you're pushed into a corner and nobody responds, well, so, are there things out there to be learned? I mean, again, I every day I say I'm trying to learn something new. And so this is a good day because I've learned a ton, but are there, how do I want to word this? Like changes to what you do? Are there up and coming things that you're learning that are new, right? You said religions change over time. Like, how does what you do? And do you consider it a religion?
So actually, I was talking to a friend about this recently. I am religious in that I follow a specific system of rites. So my belief system has a very specific structure.
Okay.
So yes, in that way, I would say yes, I am religious, but a lot of what I do is also very spiritual, where it is not structured.
That's how I've always viewed myself, is spiritual. There's things out there that I can't explain. I don't know what they are, but you feel them. Something is out there. But Dad, I was always curious. Like as we're talking, I meant to ask that earlier. If you consider yourself to be religious, but you said they're always changing, right?
Yes.
So how has or does yours change? Again, I know we're not saying religion, but like, does it change over time? Are there new things, new features and add-ons?
My system that I practice probably won't change, and it hasn't changed in a very, very long time. So I don't think that we're going to see anything new from the occult world. What I am seeing that I actually am making a YouTube series on right now is called AI and Spirituality, because AI is a new religion and it's coming up very, very quickly, and it's very scary. I've spent time trying to divine with the AI. It doesn't work very well as a divination tool, but you can do certain things with it that seem divine. What I've come to the conclusion is it is not divine. It is man-made, but can be used for all kinds of purposes. But it's not a very good vessel. Yes, it can read tarot cards in a way, but it won't be the same as the reading I gave you.
Right.
It can technically I could say, simulate a Ouija board. I've done that with it. It doesn't do a very good job. You start to see the patterns of the LLM model, but there are people falling into psychosis right now, and people think that they're getting these sacred messages from an LLM, which is very scary, because that is actually like completely axing out the actual divine. So people will be like, well, I would rather talk to ChatGPT than sit and meditate or sit and pray. And it's like, oh no, that is not good.
I use ChatGPT all the time. It's a lot of really cool features, a lot of things you can do with it. A lot of things you don't know you can do with it, right? But it's a very useful tool. But I think that's the thing, is it's a tool. A baseball bat's a tool. A pickaxe is a tool. I can do a lot of good with a pickaxe. But if I'm having a bad day, I can do a lot of bad with a pickaxe, right? Not to be sick, but it's
of course. Yeah.
It's a tool. And so the same goes for Chat GPT and any of those tools. Like, they're very useful. There's a lot of tasks and things you can streamline, get ideas for things. But you're right, it's man-made. And somewhere when that information is traced back, what's it doing? Well, it's probably looking on the internet, scouring the internet like the rest of us dummies, and saying, well, that must be right. So, how can you trust the information? And certainly, I don't know how I feel about interacting with it in the way that you mentioned. Like, if I wanted a tarot card reading, I'm going to talk to you. Right. I'm not going to say, hey, ChatGPT, can you do a tarot card reading for me?
Yeah, it does a lot of really cool things. I've had a lot of guests who showed me, like, it can write rituals, but like you said, it's just pulling things from the internet. It's not creating anything new. And unfortunately, people are falling into these psychosis tunnels where they think that they're the chosen one, and they think that ChatGPT has chosen them for a special mission or whatever. And that's just showing us that there is a vacuum in our culture right now that people want filled. People want spirituality, but they don't have anything very good to fill it with right now. And so ChatGPT feels divine. It's fast, feels divine.
Fast. There it is. It's fast. Nobody wants to invest the time to change. Yeah. Like hey, what did we say earlier? The chain is loose. You can get out of that chain. It's not tight, right? You can take it off yourself, but you got to take it off. And what is fast and what is easy is what's ruining us is people. It's what's ruining society. We don't invest in ourselves. We don't invest in our families. We don't invest in love. I think in a lot of cases, like, there's just so much where it's like, what's the easiest thing? Well, the easiest thing's for me to not give a shit and just whatever I've been doing is what I've been doing. Right. And if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And if you're not going to make any change, then, I guess just go ask ChatGPT because it's a very interesting thing that you bring up. It's like when you said the word fast, it was like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's instantaneous.
Yeah. And there's nothing like, all of magic is about self-reflection, which is hard and scary and slow.
Yeah. And like I outed myself. I said, I used AI to generate some of these questions.
Okay.
I did it from the right place, but I was like, I don't even know where to look to, like I said, I want to have some fun. I want to come up with some ideas. So then I don't read anything. We're sitting here having a conversation, but it's like a lot of times you just want a jumpstart. Like you just want an idea. And again, that was the fastest way to generate questions was, hey, ChatGPT, what do you know about this? So, yeah, very interesting. Is there a growing interest in this space from what you can see?
I think a lot of witches are very skeptical, but I think everyone uses ChatGPT and just doesn't talk about it.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. With what you do.
Oh, let's start over. What's the question? Sorry.
In the occult. Sorry. Is there a growing interest in the occult? Oh, come on. We know there's a growing interest in ChatGPT. Is there a growing interest in your world, in your space?
There definitely was a boost around COVID because everyone was in lockdown and had to sit with themselves, and suddenly all these big questions come
Reflect.
As of now, that big boom has waned a little bit, but I think it's left the door open for people who are occult curious to come and find people like myself or any of the other influencers or books. Like you can go into Barnes & Noble and find a lovely array of occult books now that were not there 10 years ago.
Okay. So you've got, and that's interesting, stuck with ourselves. We were stuck with ourselves. We all started doing things that we never did before. Try new things. What did you do? Did you do anything different? I went out and bought a bike like everyone else did, right? I was like, I need a bike.
Yeah, I became internet famous. That's what happened.
So this picked up then, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. It's funny like that. It really changed so much. I think a lot of people really realized what was important, right? How quickly things can be taken away from you, life change, again, guidelines and restrictions and things like that. And it's like humans are like, we don't want to deal with that. We saw how many problems that caused for so many people. And then again, it was polarized. You got to do this and you got to do that. And if you don't do this, you're wrong. Well, if I do this, I'm right. And so it got ugly. But again, there was the reflection. I think, like you said, a lot of people took time to reflect. And I do hope that whatever happened, with occult practices and things that, hopefully some of those people stuck with it, right? You said it waned off a little bit, but hopefully it got through to some people. And because again, I think we just need kind people in the world. And like I said, chatting with you is it's exactly what I expected, but I hope the listeners kind of see what it's all about. And I think that it really, opened a lot of eyes to who you are and what you do and what you're all about. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I guess we could get this wrapped up. Why don't you tell all of your new fans where they can find you, where they can learn about you, where they can learn about the practices? If they're, if you're like a lot of people, there's answers out there. We don't know what they are. We don't know where to look. So I guess what you would say to that, right? Tell us a little bit more.
Absolutely. So if you want to learn more about me, you can find me anywhere online as Pythian Priestess. That's Pythian. And if you're interested in getting a tarot reading for me, you can check out pythianpriestess.com. I also have options for spell work. If you want to become my mentee and you want to learn magic under me, you can sign up for a free 30-minute consultation where we'll see where you are in your spiritual journey and how I can help you.
Excellent. Excellent. And I will tell you, if you didn't hear me say it earlier, that tarot card reading was spot on.
Thank you.
It was spot on. So, Pythian Priestess, I loved having you on. Thank you so much. You were very kind and fun to chat with, and it was a blast. I hope you had a good time, and thank you so much for sharing some water with magnesium with me. And I hope to see you again. So we'll chat soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, listeners.